Hey, welcome everybody to the Trinitarian Church podcast. We are continuing the Bible series through the book of Proverbs. Today we're going to do the format a little differently, but we wanted to talk about Proverbs 14. Adam had some thoughts for us about kind of the overall theme, and I still wanted to cover that because each chapter, Proverbs, it can be a little repetitive because obviously it was meant to be read as a single scroll when it was all collected, but each chapter can have themes, these different themes all tie together in the end. But what were some of the things that stuck out to you here, Adam?
Yeah, I think some of the chapter carries over from some of the stuff we were talking about from the previous chapters. Guard what you're saying. The lips are going to protect those that are, where's the specific verse I was looking to? Stay away from a fool. He will not find knowledge on their lips. But also, okay. One part of it is that theme, but a big part to me for 14 is kind of transitioning into this is advice for the king. Some advice for who's going to be leading a group of people, and there's a lot of application for anyone with any form of leadership going on. Leading a family, leading a team at work, whatever it is. I hang on to 31 a lot. 14:31, whoever oppresses the poor shows contempt for their maker, but whoever is kind to the needy honors God. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin condemns any people. A king delights in a wise servant, but a shameful servant arouses his fury. A lot for a king to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think those things definitely apply to us because it's a lot about the imbalance of power that we have as people. I feel like that kind of runs through this chapter. And we all have imbalances of power with different people. I think we just don't look at it that way. We have trouble holding on to that. With that verse 31 that you mentioned, Adam, whoever oppresses a poor man insults his maker, but he who is generous to the needy honors him. Guys, Jason, why don't you start us off? What are some applications for this in our world as we walk around? I don't think oppression of a poor man is the same exactly here and for us, Westerners in America as it was in the ancient Middle East. But what are some current applications for this concept?
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but, we still have those who are less fortunate, those who are oppressed, and anyone who does not honor that person. I think that's what this is getting at. If you don't honor the personhood, like the value of their life that's just inherent to them as a human being, and that can come through, that's everything from war. That I don't know what it'll look like when we air this, but right now there's a, concerning war going on, right? Yep. And it can look like that, the lack of value for people. It can look like not paying a fair wage. It can look like just basically not having regard for people because of their status or what they look like. It can look like racism and sexism. It can look like all of these things that we show contempt for God when we show contempt for the people made in his image. The concept of a mango day. And when you show honor for God, or when you show honor for people, you show honor for God, and I think that's wonderful that God, once again, is saying, my image is seen through people and how you treat them. And I think the application for us is, I don't want to make this really simple, but, give people a tip if you use DoorDash or something, like treat people well, treat them as you'd want to be treated. It's not complicated, but it's kind of hard to do sometimes, I think we all look at some people who are like, they're a little whatever, and we make these first thoughts and assumptions about them and, see people as an image bearer of God, regardless of what else is going on. Remember that they too bear the image of God and treat them, as you'd want to be treated.
Yeah, recently I was having a conversation with a couple different people about trading in the stock market. And I realized as I was kind of thinking about different ways that I could do that, I was really looking at it as a zero-sum game. there are winners and losers, and, you can take advantage of people's naivete and foolishness. And in realizing in that, I mean, that's not the heart of God. The heart of God is what y'all are talking about here. It's honoring people. It's figuring out how to help those around you. It's not looking at a zero sum, I win, you lose, but how do we all win, and how do we all kind of move forward? And so I think something simple as, share a tip, like a generous tip with the server, like that's not a bad way to start, because it all starts from that mentality. Because if I look at part of my position is I can take advantage of what's happening with this other person, then, I'm not honoring them in that way. I'm not honoring what God's done in them. Adam, what are some of your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think for sure tipping is we live with so many people a part of a gig economy that may not be. I mean, that may be some oppression of the poor going on there, that like my laziness contributes to you working for a lower wage, so at least I'm gonna give you $5 for bringing me something. Like there are systemic things for us to talk about, but ultimately, if my pleasure comes at the expense of me not paying attention to your suffering, then I need to think about what's your life in any kind of economic exchange or just meeting somebody on the street.
Yeah. One of the things I think about a bit is, in counseling school, learn about the people growing up at different economic places, learn different lessons. They learn how to interact differently. And in order to move into a different economic bracket, oftentimes you need someone else to kind of show you the way of how to move up to, how to interact. What are the rules? And usually you need some kind of mentor. And just realizing how much am I sharing, some of the wisdom that I have with other people. And that's not to say that, I'm filled with wisdom on every single subject, but there are some things I know about certain things. How much am I trying to help people in that? I see the verse in here in 14:4, where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. And this is talking about the cost of doing business, that, oftentimes short-term solutions can save you energy, but in the long term, they're going to cost you energy. If I invest in a good pair of boots right now, that's going to save me money down the line on shoes. And are things like that things that I'm encouraging in other people and trying to help and mentor others in how to kind of get a leg up? Or am I looking at it in that kind of miserly, let me keep the lessons that I have to myself? Because when I do that, I don't feel like I'm doing things for God. I feel like I'm doing things to protect Craig. And that's never a good place to be for me. But Jason, what was a verse that stuck out for you here in chapter 14?
Yeah, kind of to, go a little down a different path on here. They're all kind of related, but the one that jumped out to me was, of course, I had it right in front of me here until right now. There it is, 23. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. And I think that one just jumped out to me because I am absolutely I like to read and listen. I love philosophy. I love all of these thinking things, right? That don't always translate into doing things. And so it's just a great reminder that we can feel like we're really busy all the time. And I think that is a virus, a pathogen in America and the whole Western world, really. We're so busy, but if you actually total up, what am I doing, right? You're not actually necessarily doing that much. And I think this is a great reminder that we should be doing things that actually yield meaning and yield success, right? However you may define that, and not just thinking about a lot of things and a lot of scheming and plotting. There's just this tendency, I think, that's easy to think like, wow, I've done so much, thinking about this that I've done something. And the truth is sometimes you haven't done anything. I talk a lot about like, oh, I have this book I want to read. Well, when I actually sat down yesterday and read a book, I came away with a lot of good thoughts that I didn't have previously. And it's like the actual act of doing it, get out there and don't talk about, how messy your house is. Go clean it. Right. That's what I was doing this morning. So, anyway, all of that just is such practical advice. And it just really stuck out to me as really a personal reminder that, don't spend too much time just thinking about all the things you could do. Just do one of them, just pick that one thing on your to-do list and just get it done.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I do this exercise when I do personality theory classes with people where I divide them up into 4 different groups for 4 different segments of the Myers-Briggs. And I give them a box of straws and a roll of tape. And I say, build a tower. And each time the same thing happens for each personality type when they're grouped together. And there's the one group, the intuitive thinkers, which is kind of more high level, conceptual, like strategic people. They never come up with anything because they spend the whole time talking about ideas of what they're going to do and what's going to be the best way to do it. Then when I always come around, I'm like, it's time. And they're like, oh, well, we didn't get anywhere. And I feel like that's the embodiment of this verse is, if you spend too much time thinking and not enough time in application, if you don't have a good mix of both, then you're going to be in trouble. Adam, what are some final thoughts here on this chapter of Proverbs or anything we've been talking about?
I like it. Do stuff. And consider other people. And be honest. That's still another big part of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the piece, right? Like, if we're honest about where we are, then any imbalance of power that we have, whether we're in authority or the other person is, it's all about God and it's all about our relationship with Him. It's all about how we love people as we receive love from God. And in the end, that I feel like that's the theme in every single chapter of the Bible. So, well, thank you all so much for joining us. Appreciate any excuse to go through the wonderful book of Proverbs and any excuse to go through the Bible. So God bless y'all. We'll talk to you later.